Hi, I'm Sean Cummings from the Park Height, Melbourne. Welcome to chefmasterclasses.com. Today I'll be making 3 tastes of the sea. Today we're going to kick off our 3 tastes of the sea with some beautiful Hervey Bay scallops. Fantastic at this time of year, they're nice and fat. You can also use other types. These are probably about the best you can get in Australia at the moment. So these scallops have come already trimmed up, there's no roe, very clean, very light, ready to go. So the preparation for this part of the 3 tastes of the sea, we're going to keep it really simple. We're going to allow the seafood to taste of itself, so we're not going to muck around with it too much. So for the dressing for the scallops, all we're going to do is a little bit of tomato concasse, which we have here. Tomato concasse is basically just de-seeded, de-skinned tomato that's been chopped up. It's the key to it is having the consistency and the size. So take the time to chop it up nice and evenly. So we're just going to cut one of the cheeks of the lemon off. We don't need a lot. We've only got a couple of scallops that we're preparing here. So half a lemon. Squeeze that into your bowl. Olive oil. With dressings like this, I'll work on about 1 part acid, which is your lemon juice, and 2 parts olive oil. You can be accurate with your measurements if you like. Tomato concasse, we'll put that straight in. Next up, we're going to chiffonade the basil. Nice fresh basil leaves, very finely sliced. This is something that you need to do last minute, so don't do it at the end of, don't do it the day before, so I can go straight in. Most importantly, with seasoning, good amount of pepper, good amount of salt in there as well. A good tip that a lot of chefs don't talk about is tasting food. It's something that is neglected a lot in professional kitchens, so taste, 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 taste again. What we're looking for here is the acidity, the balance between the lemon juice and the olive oil, and the seasoning, the salt and pepper. Perfect. Okay, with the scallops, all we're going to do is slice them across lengthways. You could run the knife straight through them if you like, but this is just to allow the dressing to really get into a larger cross section of the scallops. So I'm going to put both of them in, and if you do this half an hour before you want to serve, it'll give the scallops enough time to absorb a little bit of the acid from the lemon juice, take on the flavour of the olive oil. So this is done. We'll put this aside and we'll bring it back out when we finish the plate up. Next, we're looking at our smoked salmon. So we're just going to do some very traditional accompaniments. We've got some pumpernickel, and we're going to make a little bit of toast with that. Some finely sliced shallots. We've got a little bit of chive creme fraiche. So for our rye bread toast, we're just going to cut the toast into little squares, and effectively we're going to make a little house with our square of smoked salmon that we prepared earlier. So what we're going to do with these is we're actually going to toast them off in a fry pan. Here's some that we've made earlier. Nice and crispy, just over a gentle heat. Okay, next step is we're going to cut some shallots, finely sliced shallots. You'll find these down at your fruit and veg shop. Very similar to an onion, a little bit sweeter flavour, and it's a perfect accompaniment for smoked salmon. So we've just taken out the centre root there, so it doesn't all clump together, and then take your time. Nice and finely sliced. And this will be one of the garnishes that we use for the top of the salmon. So we have some creme fraiche, some chives. Once again, it's very simple. Finely chopped chives. Seasoning, very important. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. The final ingredients that we're going to use for the smoked salmon are some baby capers and also some salmon caviar. Okay, the next step is our beautiful southern bluefin tuna. We'll make the dressing first. First of all, we're going to throw some garlic in. Once again, you know, on the recipe that you've been given, there's specific measurements. You can mix and match it a little bit. You know, use the base ingredients, but you know, you can mix and match to taste with the intensity. If you like a lot of garlic, put some more in. Parsley, good handful of parsley. Also, surprisingly, ketchup, the old Heinz tomato sauce, a dollop of that. We're using some fantastic white anchovies here. They have a little bit more of a delicate flavour than you know, the standard brown anchovies that you get, and they're marinated in vinegar, and they're just a little bit lighter, a little bit more delicate. So we'll put in a couple of those as well. So we'll crack an egg straight into here. So we're just going to blitz all of that together. So next we're going to add the olive oil, and this is the key to the dressing. You don't want to be too heavy-handed. It's got to be slow so that the fats and the acid can emulsify. Make sure you check for seasoning. Fantastic. Next step is our tuna. We're going to sear it off. It's going to be very rare, so it's going to be very fast, and this is where it all starts to come together. So we're just getting the pan smoking hot. It's very important so that we only want to sear the tuna. You could do the same thing at home on your barbecue, but just ensure that you get it really, really hot. You see the smoke starting to come off the pan. So straight into the pan. Turn it over. You can see how fast this cooks. And that's it. So the accompaniments that we're doing with the niçoise salad is pretty much a classical niçoise salad, minus the poached egg. And that's basically potato, some beans, some olives, and some tomatoes. So first of all, with the potato, we're just going to use that as the base for our presentation. So I'm going to cut it into effectively a rectangular log. And then we're slicing cross sections, nice and even. So these potatoes we're just going to cook until they're just tender, not falling apart. We want them to hold their form. So straight into a little bit of salted water, cold, and onto the stove. Next step is our beans. So we've got some lovely fresh green beans from the market. All we're going to do with these is, once again, we top and tail them. Make them nice, even shapes, all the same length for our consistency and presentation. And what we do is, when the potatoes are just about ready, we'll toss our beans in with the potatoes. So by the time the potatoes are ready, the beans are also ready. They can come out, we can refresh them at the same time, so we're not doubling up. Our potatoes are just about ready. For the last minute, we're just going to add our beans. Minute or two, nice and fresh, into cold water, we're done. Fresh cherry tomatoes, these ones are vine ripened. All we're doing with those is serving them cut in half, and it's just a matter of, depending on the size, just taking out the core. If you get smaller ones, it's not necessary, just sliced in half. And the final ingredient that we're using are some nice Kalamata olives. That's it. Okay, so now we're ready to plate up our 3 tastes of the sea. We'll start off with our scallop shell. What we're going to do is we're just going to use a little bit of our chive creme fraiche, a little tip, kind of works like araldite, so that won't move. Now we take our scallops. You can see that the acid in the marinade is just starting to effectively cook them, and they're perfect. So we'll just scoop those straight into there. Doesn't have to be too neat. So here's our potato that we've seasoned with just a little bit of salt and pepper. We take our tuna, 2 nice slices, sitting right next to it. And then the rest of our garnish. And once again, it doesn't have to be rocket science, putting it on the plate, how it goes on. Oops, there we go. Nice and even. Take our dressing. It's simple but looks effective. So we take our salmon opposite the tuna, and what we're doing here is we're effectively going to make a little house with our rye bread. So our chive creme fraiche is effectively going to be the mortar that holds our house together. So this is a very classical combination, and we're just mixing things up a little bit, but not straying away from the roots that it came from. To garnish that, just a little bit of the fresh shallot, go very nicely with the salmon just on top. A couple of capers, the baby capers, just delicately put inside as well. Some baby basil to garnish. Once again, personal taste. And one final touch, our beautiful salmon caviar. So I hope you enjoy 3 Tastes of the Sea.
Hi Stu, how are you?
Hi Darren, I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Now, 2 of my favourite things in the world,
Oh, yeah?
seafood and
Yeah.
champagne.
Terrific.
And I'm so excited that you're here to tell us about this beautiful sparkling. I shouldn't call it champagne.
I was going to see how long you went before you actually picked up on that
We
little
learned
error.
about that in your last wine tip, actually.
Correct. We call it
Sparkling.
sparkling, fizz, absolutely, but
Bubbles.
we can't use champagne.
That's right. And Sean has just made this beautiful Taste of the Sea, which is so spectacular, and it's actually easier than it looks, and I hope everyone tries it because it's just so worth it. And to go with it,
We have this fantastic Australian sparkling, which is called the Cuvée Coonawarra Pinot Noir Chardonnay from South Australia, of course, Coonawarra region. As Nerida said, we can't call it champagne because it's not from the Champagne region of France, and the laws surrounding that are very, very strict, as they should be.
Pick it up themselves, really.
I couldn't possibly comment on that. But it's a great sparkling. The great thing that is about this Australian sparkling is that it's made from the traditional, what's called Méthode Champenoise varieties, basically, which is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Chardonnay dominant, Pinot Noir to give just a little bit of blush, a little bit of colour to the back end of the blend, but a delightfully, terrifically balanced sparkling that will go beautifully with the seafood.
Excellent.
Shall we try?
Oh, twist my arm. It's all a bit of a hoo-ha getting the cork out, isn't it?
It can be a little bit of a hoo-ha, but basically, I mean, you know...
What's a hoo-ha if you've had a few already? If it's your second bottle.
You've just got to be very, very, you know, cautious when you're actually taking off a cork of a sparkling wine bottle, because the actual pressure inside is actually, so they say, equivalent to an exploding tyre.
Wow.
Okay, so always open a cork on a fizz at 45 degrees and always facing away from anyone. So
Right, so not a good idea to lean your face over while you're trying to...
Absolutely
No.
not. And you just basically ease it. You can feel it just basically easing out.
Okay. How do people manage to do...
And at 45 degrees,
Okay, it still gives me a heart attack. I know it's coming, it still gives me a heart attack.
you won't lose a drop.
Well done. It's very well done. That is absolutely stunning.
Look at that.
Those beads, you could seriously just stare at them for a long time. It's so beautiful.
The bubbles?
Yeah.
You mean? Yeah, the bead.
Beads, I call them. Beads.
The bead.
Oh, the
The
bead.
bead is actually that spiralling
Right.
tower of bubble going to the very top. It's consistent and it's fast and it's rapidly rising, but really small little bubbles too. So it's a wonderful bead. But also the colour from the slight, Pinot Noir in the blend of Chardonnay Pinot Noir gives that wonderful little blush pink colour.
Stunning.
Okay, that's just really dusty overtones of strawberry, some little touches of crisp apples.
Oh yeah, definitely crisp apples.
Yeah, and I'm also getting a slight touch of breadiness, which is really typical of a premium sparkling. The breadiness comes from the contact with the yeast lees in the winemaking process. Okay. But that's a wonderful combination: crisp apple acids and that yeasty toastiness, breadiness on the nose as well.
You're right.
Have a taste.
Oh, that is beautiful. When it leaves a musky sort of taste in your mouth, like a beautiful musky flavour. It's so hard to explain, but it's amazingly yummy.
Nice and fresh?
So fresh, and actually not sickly sweet. Some sparkling can be very sickly and sweet, and after a while you sort of have half a glass and you think, that's it for me.
No, it's a classic dry sparkling.
It is quite dry.
Absolutely,
You're right, it's really and very refreshing, and I think with Sean's beautiful taste of the sea,
perfect partner.
it's perfect. Well done.
Thank you very much.
That's why we have you, because you're so good.
That's why I'm here. Enjoy.
Well, I noticed that you don't have a glass, and
No, you've got the one I
it's
bought.
all about my sparkling.